Building a business, launching a business isn't as easy as it looks on the outside. If you have never launched a business, if you've never had to scale or feed your family from your business, nothing else in the world prepares you for what that's like. I don't care how many, hardships you've been through with your career or your job problems. It is not the same thing. I don't care about becoming a millionaire or turning this into the biggest software company or one day, going IPO and making this public. Those are not my dreams at all. That's not my dream. My dream is to always be building solutions that actually help at least one business owner not be in that situation. I have a strong belief that everybody has, whether you've been to college or not, whether you've had a successful career or not, you have knowledge, you have something with your own life experiences that you can teach and you can help people with that other people can't, not in the same way that you can. And I think really dialing back into what it is that you're good at and then finding the people that need that thing that you're so good at and using tools like HighLevel as exactly that, as a tool to help facilitate that, to scale that, to be able to provide that solution to more people than you would have been able to without a software like HighLevel. I think that's where the power of HighLevel comes in. If you want to speak, you want to be a speaker, but you feel like you just don't have the confidence to get up on stage and speak, it's about your reps. Put in the reps. That's where the confidence comes from. It's going to kill you the first time. You're going to wonder why you're torturing yourself and making yourself do that. But it's going to get better every time you do it. So if that's something you want to do, like I wanted to do it, I was just like not sure why I wanted so much to do it. But once I started doing it, I started loving it. I remember Paulson like literally walking up to me. I was on the phone with Kanalan during one of the breaks and he's like, hey, can I throw something at you? And I was like, sure, what? And he's like, well, you get up on stage and talk for 5 minutes about anything. And I'm like, but what? He was like, there's no slides, no preparation, just whatever you want. Doesn't matter. I was so nervous. I literally think I went and peed like 5 times. I was so like, oh my God.
Okay, welcome everyone to today's episode of the Leverage and Lead podcast. I am joined here today with my co-host Marla Harmon and today's special guest, which is Ruheene Jaura, who is the founder of HaLevi and Brand Pod. Her and her husband work together to develop these awesome softwares. Thank you so much for joining us, Ruheene.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Can you tell everyone, aside from that, just a little bit about your experience, what services you provide, and who is your customer?
Yeah, let's see. So I am, very entrenched into the world of branding. And in a nutshell, I've spent most of my career working for some really, really big brands like Marvel and Apple and Amazon and Motorola, Microsoft as well. And having started off my career with these big brands, I think I always just took it for granted that everybody who has a business knows what a brand is and knows how to build one. I thought it came naturally to everyone. And so I felt like that was something that I had to learn. And so everything that I did, even though I started as a junior production coordinator when I was working with a company called Evil Eye Pictures, which is how I started working on some Marvel movies back in the day, that was really the beginning of my career. I started to reverse engineer everything that I saw the senior people in our companies and the client companies doing. And that's really how I got into branding. So, branding isn't something that I chose to do as a specific path, but that's just how I got into it. And I was very, very intrigued with buyer psychology, what makes people buy, what makes people stay, and what makes people want to buy from you. Right? More than just, okay, this is like, I need toothpaste, I'm going to go to the supermarket and buy it. It's like, what makes people actually want to buy from you specifically? So anyway, fast forward all these years later with AI, I've been able to take a lot of all the frameworks, all the things that I learned from these big companies, reverse engineer them, turn them into frameworks. And then, of course, because I happen to be married to an ex-Amazon engineer who's a brilliant coder, so unfair advantage, I just had him turn all of my frameworks and pretty much my whole brain into these 2 pieces of software, which are HaLevi and Brand Pod.
So did you go to college to do this? Like, what prompted all of this? Like, even this journey? What started all of this?
It's kind of embarrassing to say, but yes, I did go to college, but not for these specific things. And the embarrassing part is that when I was asked what I want to do and what kind of college I want to go to and what degrees I wanted to get, my answer was just, I want to have fun. So I wish somebody had kind of talk to me back in the day about what that means and what I wanted to do ultimately with my life, because I found that out much later. But when I was young, I was like, I want to do something fun. And so I chose architecture as my undergrad degree, again, because I felt like it was going to be a long 5 years versus, 3 to 4 years, which was the regular thing. And I just wanted to be in college and hang out with my friends. And I figured, why not do architecture? So that's how I started doing architecture. But what I did pick up from there, I realized very quickly that I did not enjoy the actual working with contractors, being on site, being in dusty, construction sites was not my forte. And that just comes with being a part of, the whole architecture package. But what I did enjoy was the design. What I did enjoy was figuring out user flows, right? So that was my beginnings with understanding customer journeys, understanding the psychology of the experiences that we as humans have in the spaces we are in. And then, of course, now with the software that we use, very similar. So, anyway, so that's why I did architecture. And then after that, I was like, well, I still want to have fun. And, I was in India at the time and I wanted to come to the US to do my master's. And somebody told me about visual effects and animation and how there was a college in San Francisco that I could apply to. And sounded super fun to me to work for the movies and come to America. So that's what I did. And that's how I ended up doing my master's in animation and visual effects, a degree that unfortunately does not hold very much weight outside of the actual visual effects world. But I ended up doing 8 years of, working in a visual effects company, getting loaned out to an advertising company, which is where I got to do some launch campaigns for the likes of Apple. So yeah. So yes, I did go to college, and yes, I did get some degrees, but I don't think any of them were directly related to what I do now.
So, for the people who are considering switching their brand or switching their talent or switching their focus within high level or within their industry, give them a tip that they could use. Obviously, your software would be a great starting point, but give them a tip on what are the first three things they should be factoring in, maybe to making that transition and making a good impact on that new journey that they want to make.
Yeah, so something that I talk about often is when you think about a brand, you really want to think about whether you're thinking about a business brand or a personal brand. And I think way too many people who are talking about branding these days are confusing the two things. I literally talked to one of our users who's actually a longtime user on HaLevi and now on Brand Pod, and he was telling me that right before we released Brand Pod, he ended up hiring a personal no, he said he ended up hiring a branding expert or a branding agency. I'm not sure which one. Um, but anyway, he was working with somebody who was helping him with his brand. And I asked him, I was like, oh, is that for your business or is that for you? And he's like, I'm not sure. What's the difference? And I was like,
Mm,
well, there's a brand for your business, which is, what we've been doing in Hey Levi, which is you understand your customer journeys, you understand how your brand and all of your offers lead into that customer journey, how it fulfills some sort of need for that customer, why they would trust you to be the solution provider or the guide in that journey, and how you can retain them because of that mission that you're selling them into, and how you continue to keep them, retained in a specific offer or in other offers that you launch. And so that's kind of the customer journey with your business and where the business brand comes in, right? And that's really the branding that a lot of people think about. I think everyone knows that a brand is so much more than colors and fonts. I think that doesn't need to be said anymore, right? But I do think that these two things specifically are being confused. And so a personal brand is more about who you are as an individual, your life experiences, your belief system, the things that have led you to where you are today, the thoughts that make you, that position you to see things in a different way from anybody else in your industry. No matter how many years of experience they have over you, you have a unique worldview on certain things that are going to be different based on your specific stories and experiences that have led you to where you are today. And it's those stories that help you build a personal brand. So everything you put out there, whether it's content, whether it's a podcast like this, if you're leading from your specific experiences and your worldview on things, it's always going to help you stand out and stay top of mind when it comes to your audience. So in terms of what is the first thing or the top three things that somebody should be thinking about when it comes to changing their brand, the first question would be, well, why are you trying to change it? Which brand are we talking about, and why are you trying to change it? Right? Usually that answer is, well, I'm launching a new offer, I'm launching a new company. That's really when I get that question, like I need to launch a new brand, or we're rebranding because people don't understand what it is we do, so we need to rebrand. That also happened very recently. So, but I think, if you're thinking about launching a new business, then yes, you want a brand that is memorable, that is easy to spell, easy to pronounce. We actually just rebranded from Brandify to Brand Pod for that exact reason. But I would actually ask, if you're focusing on that, is there a reason you're not focusing on your personal brand first? Because the way I see it, especially right now with all of the AI and the automation and everything being so repeatable and replicable, I think it's really important to have a personal brand, if you had to choose one to start with. So that would be my first piece of advice, is really think about which brand you really need. If it's really, I need both, but where do I start? It would be with a personal brand. And with that, I know this is something Bridget and I were talking about last week on the webinar we did together, but really digging deep into your stories and bringing that to the surface, so you know what to be talking about and how to build that personal brand in the first place.
Awesome. Yeah. There's just so many people that are new to HighLevel and they're trying to build a brand. So awesome feedback. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can apply that.
I think that it's really a struggle, especially for people in HighLevel. They sign up for HighLevel, and sometimes they don't really have their business idea fleshed out. They just see the opportunity, and then they struggle to figure out, which is more important? Do I create a personal brand, or do I create the business brand? And then, especially if they're a solopreneur, which one do they focus on first? Personally, I focused on my own brand because I had no idea what I was doing. I just was kind of like throwing things at the wall to see what was gonna stick, and that made it really easy for me to transition and go to any path that I wanted to, because I was really just focused on my own name as the brand. But what do you think, Ruheene, about people who are signing up for HighLevel and they're just really struggling? Like, which one? Like, if I want to create a YouTube channel for my SaaS and I want to start doing tutorials, should it be my own name, or should I do that with the business brand?
I think that's a great question, because we've been, on our end, actually going back and forth with that as well. So I'm not a YouTube expert. I will say that I'm on that journey myself, and I don't want to give advice on something that I don't know the answer to perfectly, but I can share kind of where we're at with that. So I started out with my personal brand YouTube channel. I posted a little bit. This is back when I was, teaching ManyChat. For those that don't know, ManyChat is a chat automation software, that back in the day only connected into Facebook, I believe, when I was doing it. Now, of course, it has different channels. But anyway, I was teaching ManyChat. I was building templates for ManyChat. That's really what I was doing a lot of. And so I wanted to share my videos and my trainings and everything. And so I created my own YouTube channel, came up with a really fancy name for it. I was really proud of myself. And then when we launched HaLevi, we launched a HaLevi YouTube channel, and then my attention just shifted there. And I actually started ignoring my YouTube channel, the one that I had created first. So because of my own journey through 2025 with personal branding, and I've seen what it's brought me, it's changed my life, having built my own personal brand and shifting my focus from my business to my personal brand, has just been honestly just life-changing for me. And that's why I'm so keen on sharing that message with anyone else who's struggling, with building a brand, with getting their business off the ground, with getting their offers off the ground. So in terms of the YouTube channel, I would say focus on your personal brand YouTube channel, because that's the journey I'm on, and I'm trying to revive mine right now. In terms of what I would say to somebody who's struggling with HighLevel specifically, over the years and having worked with a lot of different sized agencies, something that I've seen, and Bridget, I'd be curious to know if you've actually seen this too, and Marla, if you guys have seen that a lot of people are coming to the HighLevel world, not because they see HighLevel as an opportunity to strengthen what they're already doing, but as a get rich quick, like, oh my God, nothing else has worked for me. I'm going to now sell software and I'm going to be rich. And I hate to say this in like a derogatory way, because I don't mean that at all. It makes me sad, because I feel like people are losing what they're actually good at. They're forgetting what they're actually good at. And they're just trying to get into something that's going to make them quick money, and then they find that HighLevel is not as easy to sell and resell as they thought it was going to be, right? And so I think, again, I have a strong belief that everybody has, whether you've been to college or not, whether you've had a successful career or not, you have knowledge, you have something with your own life experiences that you can teach, and you can help people with, that other people can't, not in the same way that you can. And I think really dialing back into what it is that you're good at, and then finding the people that need that thing that you're so good at, and using tools like HighLevel as exactly that, as a tool to help facilitate that, to scale that, to be able to provide that solution to more people than you would have been able to without a software like HighLevel. I think that's where the power of HighLevel comes in. And then, of course, the brand around that is really how you position yourself as that person who can provide that solution versus anybody else. So if HighLevel is your brand and you're just, all about the software that you're selling, I think that's where people start to struggle, because it is getting, it is a saturated market, no matter which industry you're in. There are HighLevel agencies everywhere. And so if all you're offering is HighLevel, even if you have the best, customer support system, which I see a lot of people tell me that that's their unique value prop, which is that they have amazing customer support, right? It needs to be something more than that. People need to know why to come to you versus to somebody else.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Are you a coach or consultant trying to build your business with HighLevel, but feeling overwhelmed and overworked? Are you putting in long hours, but still struggling to land your first client? You're not alone. Many entrepreneurs believe they just need to work harder. But what if your problem isn't your work ethic, but your lack of a system? I've spent the last 6 years perfecting a system called the Vision Blueprint. It's a structured method to build a successful business with HighLevel without the burnout. Stop the insanity of endless trial and error. Join my free community today and get access to all my tutorials plus live coaching with me 4 days a week. Let me personally guide you as you implement this system and build the life that you want, not just the business. Now, back to the conversation.
The people who come to HighLevel because it's like a get rich thing, I think that is due, because I've seen this with other software platforms as well, to the fact that HighLevel focuses so heavily on the affiliate side. And so a lot of affiliates will say, make money online. It's like the most expensive, like keyword, whatever it is I'm trying to say, because that's how they approach it. Now, for me and my community, I don't attract those people. I don't promote HighLevel in any way, a get rich quick thing, not even remotely, because I don't want to attract those people. That's why I don't put that out there. But I do think that that's part of the problem. I think those people are never going to be successful in HighLevel. Because there's so much to learn. By the time you've learned HighLevel, it's like, then a lot of those people will go to like the certification program or something like that, because now they have a skill that they can provide. But yeah, just coming into HighLevel thinking this is going to be your business and you're just going to sell accounts, that's just, I think, just ignorance. And it's a hard lesson learned.
It is. And I'm not going to lie, Bridget, I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually started off with HighLevel in exactly that way. So the way I discovered HighLevel was through another agency, somebody who's now a really good friend of mine. But I discovered HighLevel back in 2020, just as the pandemic was like hitting us all. Just moved to Canada, didn't know anyone there, like holed up in this little apartment that we had just moved into, literally knew nobody in the entire, like all of Canada. So yeah, I just holed up in this room and like looking online to see where I could make some money. And I found this girl who was teaching Facebook ads. And that's something I had done a little bit of on my own. I was a newborn and, family photographer before that. And so I had learned Facebook ads on my own to try and get that business off the ground. So when I saw her training, I signed up for her program because I was like, that's something I can do. I've done Facebook ads. I can help other people with Facebook ads right now. Anyway, getting into, long story short, I got into her training program, and she quickly found that I was actually teaching other people how to do Facebook ads, and she was a white label HighLevel agency, but she was also not telling anyone that it was HighLevel. So she had her white label name, and she asked me if I'd like to join her team and be a Facebook ads coach for her, and also a tech support lead, because I was being able to, back in the day, 2020, do you remember what HighLevel looked like? Were you on HighLevel at the time?
I came to HighLevel in October of 21. I think Marla
Okay.
was like, I think her and Sean developed HighLevel. She's been with HighLevel so long. But
Do you remember how clunky it was?
yes.
Like triggers and actions. Do you remember those? Like there were
Yeah.
no workflows. So it was not, and there were a lot of things that were probably not as easy as they could have been. To me, my biggest gripe, and till today I make fun of it, is the whole idea of custom fields versus custom values. It's so bizarre. Like, again, to me, a value is what goes into the field. They're not two different kinds of custom fields, right? Anyway, so I thought that was really funny. And I saw a lot of people getting tripped up over these very GHL isms, like, things like this. And then I think there was another one where people accidentally kept sending out emails from the contact name instead of the username. There was some issue. I think they've fixed it all now. But there were a lot of emails going out with, signing off with the contact's name or addressing them as the username instead of the contact name. So you're basically like, hey, Ruheene, thanks, Ruheene. Anyway, so a lot of that going on back in the day. And so she found that I was being able to actually figure this out really quickly. And she was like, hey, do you want to just join my team? Anyway, so I joined her team, still not knowing it was HighLevel because she never told me. I still thought this was her proprietary software. And I was trying to learn it. And of course, I found out that it was HighLevel when I saw an ad for a different platform, looked the same. And I was like, wait a minute. And that's how I found out about HighLevel. Anyway, so I always wanted to start my own agency. And so after a year of working with her, I decided to go launch my own agency. I figured, hey, I'm like really good now with HighLevel. I'm just going to sell HighLevel. And I actually abandoned everything that I know about branding, about positioning, about unique value props, everything, which has been my bread and butter for so many years. I just abandoned it all. And I was like, I'm going to sell HighLevel. I could not get past 7 clients. I really tried. And it was brutal. I have to say it was, and that's why I feel so bad when I see other HighLevel agencies kind of going that route. Like, I'll go to webinars and people will ask, what's the most profitable niche right now? And I immediately know that they are lost. Yeah. Immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So every niche is profitable as long as you can provide something that nobody else can. Mm-hmm. That is how you understand what your unique value is. That's how you understand your market positioning. And that's how you build a brand around that unique value prop. So, yeah.
Or if you have no idea, purchase an additional tool that you can add into your white label. And now you've added additional value. It's like but you have to have something additional. It's like you're saying, especially now, because it's a lot harder for people now than it used to be because nobody knew what HighLevel was. It's like you didn't even know what HighLevel was. None of us had heard of HighLevel. Now we're second under Salesforce. So it's like people are knowing what HighLevel is. So if you don't have an answer to the question, well, why would I sign up with you instead of just signing up directly with HighLevel? You are going to fail.
Or if your answer is that my customer support is the best, I take care of my clients like nobody else can. Everyone's saying that, so don't say it. You can say it as part of something bigger. Or if your answer is that mine's the cheapest because I found a way to sell it for $37 and not $97, you're not going the right direction either. You're not selling based on value, you're selling based on price.
Does it feel like snapshots are either too basic to help or too complex to fit your business? Trying to untangle someone else's workflows can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm Marla, and I work with agencies and business owners to design and build custom CRM and AI systems that actually align with how you operate your business. If you're tired of trying to do it all yourself, let's connect. Reach out at marlaharmon.com.
So when did you learn this lesson, Ruheene? When you're like, here you are, you have 7 clients and you're like, how am I going to get client number 8? Like what kind of pushed you into a different direction?
Yeah. I was very miserable, by the way. Those were some hard days.
Oh God. Yes.
So
I know.
How long did that last? How long were you at that
Too
position
long.
before you answer Bridget's question?
Too long. So I signed up for a HighLevel agency account for myself in November 2021. I signed up for the Black Friday deal, and I would say a year and a half. I closed it down in December 2023. That's how long it
Okay.
lasted.
All right. I
So
just
what
wanted
is
to
that?
make sure we hit that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please
No.
continue.
It's a good question because I haven't really thought about how long that lasted. Yeah, so 2.5 years. Anyway, yeah, so 2.5 years and 7 clients. It was great. Anyway, so one of my clients became a really, really good friend of mine, and she actually switched to me from another very, very big, very well-known white label agency in the high level world, because she saw, I guess, what is what she tells me. She's the one who reminded me that there was something more I was bringing to the table than just the software. And I started to really dig into that. Like, why would somebody leave this huge GHL agency and come over to me and my little tiny agency, knowing fully well that I was struggling with it? I know she wasn't doing it as a favor, because that's not who she is. She just wanted to build her business and scale it. And I really started to dig into what it is that I was helping her with, that she saw enough value that she would. And this is an agency that doesn't allow transfers, by the way. They don't eject. It's part of their TNCs. So I rebuilt her entire account from scratch for her, which was very painful, right? And so I was like, it really made me think, like, why is somebody coming to me? And I started to realize it's because I was helping her with an angle that not a lot of people were getting help with, which is understanding her messaging, understanding her positioning. And I started to realize it's all stuff that I had ignored for myself. And it's really where my background was. It's really what my forte is. And I started being reminded of again, that special thing, that unique value that I bring that nobody else does, right? Not in the way that I do. At the same time, I saw that there were a lot of people in high level in the Facebook community saying things like, what do you do when you get on a, this was right when high level started getting really popular, right? We were just talking about how there used to be a time when nobody knew what it was. And suddenly there was this, like, so many conversations in the high level community about what do you do when you get on a sales call and your prospect says, oh, I know what this is. This is high level. I can get it for half the price from someone else, right? What do you say? Do you remember those conversations? They were actually happening probably right around when you joined, Bridget,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And I started to realize that there was a need for someone to help people with their messaging, with their positioning, understand how to build offers that solve a problem versus just be another high level agency. And so that's what I started to build. So I actually started to go, that's when I started to, take out all of my frameworks, all of my learnings. OpenAI in 2022 came out with ChatGPT, and more importantly for us was the API. And so I asked my husband, I was like, hey, I have all of these frameworks, all of these things. I can convert them all into prompts. Can you build a quick UI for me so I can actually give this to my high level, it was called Butter Lab, build, test, tweak, repeat, BUTTR, which was another big fail, by the way, because people said that Butter made it sound like I was selling beauty products. Anyway, whole other branding fail there. But anyway, so I wanted to give it to my Butter Lab, users, agency users, and have it as a custom menu link. And, again, as a unique value in our agency versus anyone else. Anyway, so that was the shift, really digging deep into what was the value that I was bringing that nobody else was. Instead of just being another high level agency, I realized that it was the branding, positioning, messaging, the things that I'd been doing for years, that gave me this ability to look at a positioning problem very differently, I think, than most people would. And really help solve that specific problem. So I started helping my agency users. And then I saw that this was a bigger problem in the high level agency. And at the time, this customer and friend of mine started tagging me on some of these posts, because she knew it was a problem I could solve. So that's really how the whole shift happened. And by the end of 2023, I realized that that's what I wanted to do. Instead of just doing this for my agency and trying so hard to build my agency, I wanted to solve this problem for everybody who needed it. And right now, the problem in front of me, the audience in front of me, was other high-level agencies. And so we became a white label software marketplace provider for them.
Do you still have that agency, or are you just focusing on the software at this point?
We officially shut it. So I stopped really doing much with it after we launched HaLevi. In the beginning, it was called iGen, in 2022. 2023, we really started to work more on HaLevi, and rebranded it to HaLevi, and I stopped working as much on the high level agency, and then I officially shut it down, I believe, at the end of 2023.
So what is that process for you like, Ruheene? Like, what is the day like for someone in your position? Because you're not actually developing the software. Kernel's doing that. So what is it that you do in a day to support the app?
So I wear all the hats, and I'm sure a lot of people in the high level world, agency world, founder worlds can relate to this. So something that not a lot of people know is that while Kunal writes the code, I'm the one who designs, I don't just give him prompts and say, turn this into the software. I'm the one who actively designs the user journeys. Again, that's my forte. I love designing customer journeys, understanding how to take out friction points. In fact, I know we're having another conversation on the side about, onboarding and activation with Brand Pod. And that's why that's so dear to me, is because I'm all about removing friction points. And so that's something that my brain is like very entrenched in right now. But what I do is, when we were launching the software, of course, it was me who designed the entire thing, from the UX to the UI to the prompts, to what features we needed, how they were going to work, what the flow was going to be. And I don't always get it right out of the box, right? So I do that, and then I watch we'll release in an alpha or beta. We'll watch those users, see how they actually do stuff. And that's all stuff that I do. So I'm customer facing. Kunal doesn't like talking to people, if you know him. So I'm customer facing. I'm the one who sits with our users, sees where they're getting stuck here, and then implements that and goes back to our dev team and to the ClickUp tasks, make sure that they're all broken up into tasks, prioritize them. So all that to say, I'm the CEO on paper, but really what I'm doing is, UX, I'm doing tech support, I'm doing UX flows, I'm doing customer feedback channels,
Project management,
project
QA.
management, that's a big one, operations, HR, what
Yeah.
else? Everything
Branding.
except for
All the
writing
things.
code.
Sales.
I love it.
Customer
Speaking,
relations.
trying to get more visibility for the things that we're doing. So yeah.
So what do you want the future to look like? Where do you think all of this is going? Like, what are you trying to build for yourself?
For myself, it's a really big question, because I don't know if this is everyone. I've actually tried to think a lot about whether this is just a me thing or this is an everyone thing. When I decided to become an entrepreneur, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to like paint myself into being something that I'm not, but truly, I've seen hardship, right? So I've seen struggles with money. Like, we had a lot of struggles with money growing up in my childhood. I didn't have any siblings, so I had nobody to actually lean on or have that support system with. My dad is ex-Indian Air Force, and so we moved every 2 years. I didn't even have friends that really I could grow up with. So and then I saw a lot of suffering when it came to my mom and her health, and I lost her to breast cancer. So a lot of different things that kind of made me realize how much pain and suffering there is in the world. And when I became an entrepreneur, I actually also have family members who have struggled with their own businesses through the years, and you know my dad has tried to help them along the way, and I've seen how much they've struggled. And one day, again, I'm just tying a lot of different things, but one day when I was still very, very young, my dad told me about somebody who he had known very well and who he was trying to help out of a bad business situation. He was in a business partnership. That business partnership crashed and burned, and he got into a second business partnership in this like desperate effort to survive the first one, the first crash. And unfortunately, that one didn't go well either. He lost a lot of money, and he had 2 children and a wife, and he ended up committing suicide. And so for me, that story, and my dad doesn't even remember telling me this all these years later. I'm like, he's like, he asked me the other day, he's like, how did you get into all this branding stuff anyway? I don't even remember you saying, Dad, when I grow up, I want to do like branding and marketing. And so I was like, do you remember when you told me this story? And he's like, no, I actually don't remember telling you about this at all. Anyway, all of that made me realize that building a business, launching a business isn't as easy as it looks on the outside. if you have never launched a business, if you've never had to scale or feed your family because from your business, um, nothing else in the world prepares you for what that's like. I don't care how many, hardships you've been through with your career or your job problems. It is not the same thing. So
It's like a
having that,
whole different level of pressure.
it is,
It
it
is
is. And I
so
can,
much pressure. Yeah. And then if you were blessed enough that your spouse is like, hey, I'm kind of in this with you. But when you're the one who is like your responsibility, okay, you quit your job to do this business. All right, now what? And your
yeah,
spouse is looking at you like, hey, how are we going to pay the mortgage next month?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
my heart bleeds for business owners in this situation because I definitely was there, and I totally get it. It's so much pressure. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to like reiterate that because it's so much pressure. I just thinking about it now, it makes me feel like, oh God, I never want to be back there again.
exactly. No, it's a horrible place to be in, and to feel like you have people who are relying on you to make this thing succeed. Not succeeding isn't an option. And again, it's not like, oh, I'll just get another job. Let me just start applying, right? It's like, no, I did this. I'm committed to this. I need to see this through, and I need to figure out how to make this darn thing work. Um, anyway, so all that to say, your question about what do I see in this for me? I want to make sure that anything that I do is I don't care about becoming a millionaire or turning this into the biggest software company or one day, going IPO and making this public. Those are not my dreams at all. Um, in fact, we almost got bought out last year, and I was asked this question many times, and my answer was always no. That's not my dream. My dream is to always be building solutions that actually help at least one business owner not be in that situation.
Mm.
And so I know, again, that story was like very deeply emotional to me because I didn't understand it at the time. Again, I was born and raised in an Air Force military family, very different lifestyle from somebody who's a business owner. And even though I saw family members struggle, I didn't really know how bad it could get until I heard this story, which is why it's stuck in my head. Like I could never get it out. And then when I started building my own businesses and struggling, I can't tell you the number of times I've thought back to that, just because of how I can relate to it. And it's hard to even say that because I have littles. But to even think about how I can relate to that, I'm not saying that, it's something that I'm doing or want to do, but you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it gets hard.
Mhm.
So that's my goal. As long as I can continue building things, whether that's software, whether that's just services, or building something that is helping someone not be in that situation where they feel like they've lost all hope and they're such a failure that their life is now completely worthless. Um, that's my goal.
Coming from all of the struggles that you mentioned, and seeing some really a lot of things that impacted your journey, your family must be so proud of you to be to have come from India to Canada, and you've traveled all around. So what just I mean like what's the impact on your family, like the just the general, I mean, did your parents ever, I don't know when your mother passed away, and by the way, I'm so sorry for your loss. But have they expressed to you, like, gosh, we are so proud of you? I mean, I know I would be so proud of my children if I watch them grow up and accomplish all the things that you have and work for some of the most powerful brands in the industry. And now you are creating brands. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I have always been closest to my mom. I don't have any siblings or anyone. So yes, I often wonder what she would have said. And unfortunately, I'll never know. But yeah. So my dad and I have gotten closer after my mom passed because my dad and I always we're very alike, I think, and that's why we've never quite gotten close because we clash. Our personalities clash a lot. We're both very, for lack of a better term, intense. That's a word somebody used for me years and years ago, and it always like bothered me. And now I feel like, no, I kind of get it. I am. So I think we're both very intense, and we both are very passionate and people, and we've built a relationship all these years later. So he is proud. Could he be prouder? I feel like yes, in all honesty. I feel like I'm not there yet where he can actually be like, yes, like my daughter's made it, and I couldn't be prouder. And I think a personal thing for me in that is, when he lost his dad, he always has had this regret of not giving his dad a more comfortable house, not being able to provide for him at the time, not being able to give him a more comfortable car, things like that. And I think I kind of, being the only child, not having any siblings, I guess, I'm the boy and the girl of the family. I think I internalized a lot of that. And so I think my end goal would be to make enough money where I can buy my dad a car, a car that he would love, and be able to afford sending him first class air tickets to come visit me in the US. He's still in India. So this is the first time I'm actually saying this out loud. But anyway, so that's my goal, where I feel like I would then see that kind of pride in him, and I hope I can still get there. I'm still working towards it. I'm not there yet.
So I have to ask, Ruheene, because I, like you, am fascinated by the psychology. So do you want to buy that for your dad because you just love him and want him to experience a new car in first class? Or do you want to buy that for him because you think that's what it'll take for him to say, I'm super proud of you?
I think, well, he already says it. He tells me, like, he see me go through a very hard time last summer. Actually, he was with us last summer. He had come to visit, and he actually saw firsthand what I was struggling with. Um, and he actually took the time to pull me aside and say, "Hey, I was." He would eavesdrop on my calls, and he would hear the stress in my voice. And he was like, "I want you to know that I think you're doing really well. Like, I don't think you need to be this stressed about it. Like, I think you're doing really, really well." So no, I think it's a what is it? Prophecy, I don't know, self-fulfilling prophecy, maybe.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
Where I feel like that's just, I think in my mind, that's just, I told him, I was like, no, but until I can do this for you, I did tell him. He was like, but that's so silly. Like, I'm comfortable. I can buy my own tickets. Like, I don't even want to be in first class. Like, I can buy my own tickets. I'm fine. I can come visit you whenever I need to. I have enough money to be able to support you if you ever need it. And so he was like, why would you worry about those things? Like, what I want to see for you is just you being happy, you being comfortable, and you taking care of your kids. As long as your kids are well taken care of, you guys are happy, you and Kunal are happy. That's all I need to see. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it's me. I think it's just something because I saw how much he regretted it when he lost his dad. I think that's one of the fears that I live with, is that I'm going to suddenly find that I'm out of time and I haven't been able to do that for him. So that is a goal that I'm working very very hard towards.
I have to think too, because I lost my mom in 2019. And I have to think this was way before, I was still a struggling agency owner at this point. So I was not even anywhere close to meeting my goals or anything. And I wonder if part of what you feel like that with your dad, you want to do these things for him, is also because you can't do it for your mom. So it's like, I did, because I would love to spoil my mom and all of these things. I would love to be able to do that. I don't have a dad. He's a total loser. But aside from all that, I would totally love to do that for my mom. And I just wonder if that's kind of a little part of it. I can't do it for
Yeah,
her, but if I
I
do
think
it
you
for
hit the nail on the head. It absolutely is.
dad.
Um, my mom had a very simple, need, want, whatever you call it. It's going to sound really silly, I guess, but back in the day, all she wanted was an SUV. She thought having an SUV of any kind, didn't matter what kind, an SUV versus a sedan was when you've made it. Like, that's the ultimate level of comfort. That was what it was for her. I lost her in 2012, so cars have changed quite a bit since then. But that's what she wanted. And I had a Hyundai Sonata at the time, a secondhand, wasn't driving anything fancy, which was a sedan, and a very basic sedan. And that's, she always was like, when are you going to buy an SUV? And as soon as she passed away 2 years later. I was pregnant with my son, who, by the way, was born on her birthday. Story for another day, maybe. But I was pregnant with him, and because we were starting a family, we wanted an SUV. And so we bought a small SUV, which I still have till this day. It's a Mazda CX-5, if you know what that is. Very comfortable, not a fancy SUV, but comfortable SUV. I bought that 2 years later, and even though it wasn't fancy, it wasn't like top of the line, like it wasn't like a fancy car at all. I remember driving it home from the showroom thinking, I wish my mom was here. Like this is what I wanted her to experience, just being in an SUV.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I don't think
Um,
that those feelings ever go away. Like so many.
no, they
I
don't.
I remember Ruheene, and I told you I was going to bring this up. We actually talked about bringing this up. First time I met you was in 2023, and you had a vendor booth at the summit,
Yep.
and we struck up a conversation. And you were so nervous about speaking on stage, and I also was speaking on stage for the first time that year. And one of the things we bonded on was our extreme anxiety over this. And I think that a lot of times people see us at the HighLevel event and they're like, oh, but she's always all over social and she's all got a YouTube channel. Of course, she's not nervous. But
Yeah.
I think that's such a misconception because I aside from sweating bullets because of the age I am and walking around with my fan that I'm now infamous for, I was sweating bullets because I was so nervous. So, Ruheene, first of all, you did a great job. But can you talk a
Thank
little
you.
bit about what that feels? It's like it's so important for us. It's like you're asked to speak at a HighLevel event. Of course, you're going to do it. But
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about like how you felt in that, and then how you pushed through that, and then do you like being a speaker? Is this something that you like doing, or are you trying to find a way to get out of it like me?
Absolutely not trying to get out of it. I love it. Now I love it. But I think it was 2024, Bridget. I think you spoke in 2023. I spoke in 2024, and that's when
Oh,
we
okay.
first
All right.
spoke. Yeah.
Years blend
And
together.
I remember you coming up to me with your fan, coming up to our booth and saying, "Oh, you're speaking tomorrow. Are you nervous?" And nobody had asked me if I was nervous. Everyone was like, "Oh, cool, you're speaking tomorrow. We'll be there." And I love the support, but I was like, "Oh my God, all these people." Every time somebody came and told me that, I was like, one more person who I can't let down because they're like setting aside, an hour of their time to come and watch me speak.
Mhm.
And I remember you came and asked me, "Are you nervous?" And I was like, "Yes." Um, and then I remember that's when you shared your story about how nervous you were, and you were so sweet. I remember you said, "I'm going to be there. I'm going to be like rooting for you," and it was very sweet. Um, the night before, so that was, I had spoken when I was in college. I had done something for my college where they sent me somewhere to represent the college. And I remember being very, very nervous at the time. And I also remember getting on stage and all the nervousness just disappearing. It was very interesting. And I got so like into what I was talking about, and I ended up actually enjoying it. But it was so many years later, like, I hadn't done that since college. And then I was given this opportunity by HighLevel. Actually, rewind a little bit earlier that year in May. So this was in October 2024, right? That I did level up. But in May, they had a mastermind and that's where they actually had this 5 minute, what do they call it? 5 minute thing. I can't remember what they called it, but it was this 5 minute thing that they just like grabbed a few people and said, "Hey, do you want to get up on stage and talk for 5 minutes about anything? It's up to you." Like out of the blue. I remember Paulson like literally walking up to me. I was on the phone with Kanalan during one of the breaks, and he was like, "Hey, can I throw something at you?" And I was like, "Sure, what?" And he's like, "Will you get up on stage and talk for 5 minutes about anything?" And I'm like, "But what?" He was like, "There's no slides, no preparation, just whatever you want. Doesn't matter." I was so nervous. I literally think I went and peed like 5 times. I was so like, oh my God. Um,
They did
but
the
what I
same thing to me at a SaaSpreneur event. But Ruheene, I didn't even, Chase had asked me the night before. We were in like the bar there, everybody was like mingling and all this. And then he comes over and it was kind of loud. I totally misunderstood what he was saying. And then the next day, here I am, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, we're just going to break into small groups and I'm just going to talk about like, you know, so then the next day, I'm sitting there and they come over and they're like, okay, so it was John Bermudez or
oh
whatever
yeah,
that
yeah,
was.
yeah, JB,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so he comes over and he's like, okay, Bridget, so you're going to be next and you're going to go up on stage. And I was like, huh? what? I didn't know. And he's like, oh yeah, oh, you got this. You know, he's pumping me up, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm gonna say. And I was like, I gotta go pee. So I totally get it. It's like I was almost excited that I didn't know, because I would have been up all night stressed about it and what am I going to say? But then also the anxiety, like I'm literally standing in line waiting to get on stage, and I'm like, I don't have a pen and paper, and I can't even write down ideas. And now I just have to stick it all in my head. Oh my gosh, it was so stressful. I'm so sorry to interrupt your story. But I just
No, I'm glad you're sharing.
To me.
I like knowing I'm not the only one. So
No, you're not. You're not.
But yeah, you're right. I didn't have time to like sleep on it. And so I didn't have time to like over stress myself, except for the 5 times I needed to pee before I went up on stage. But hey, I got through it. Spoke for 5 minutes, went great, you know. And that gave me a little bit of confidence, like, oh, I can actually do this. And it wasn't so bad as once I walked on stage, it was all fine. Like I was in my element, I was in my comfort zone. It was fine. It was just, it's the part where you know you're about to get up on stage. That's the part where I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack and pass out, honestly. And that still happens. So for Level Up that year, that was the first year. I will say that it was a lot better the second time around when I did it in October in 2025. But in 2024, that was my first time going up on stage, and I couldn't sleep the night before. I kept tossing and turning, and I was so mad at Kunal for sleeping. I remember, like, I was just like, I wanted to throw something at him because I'm like, how can you sleep? My life is like hanging by a thread here. Like, I had all of this, like I was sweating. I had a panic attack the night before. Did not sleep a wink, by the way. And I just kept wondering, like, why are people coming to see me? Who am I? I had the worst imposter syndrome. Like, why would anyone come and watch me or listen to me speak? Like, what have I done? I don't have a successful agency. I don't have like a huge business. I'm not like making a ton of money. Like, why would anyone want to come and talk to me? And so I had a horrible, horrible night the night before. But yeah, so that's how it happened. Since then, I've spoken on a few more stages. I heard somebody tell me, at some point that getting on stage and building confidence is all about getting the reps in.
Mm-hmm. Same with video. Same thing.
Same with video, actually, exactly right. And I mean, that was in my mind because I love working out, and I know that whenever I don't work out for a while, I know I'm going to be in pain when I get back into it. To me, that just connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as I'm doing this often enough, I'm not going to like, make a mess of this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only when if I stop doing it, then I'm going to have that anxiety attack maybe again. So that's just how I look at it. And so as long as I'm doing it, I feel more confident. And so at Level Up 2025, I actually didn't have that anxiety. I had a little bit of nervousness going up on stage, and then it disappeared, but it was so much better this time. So I would say if you want to speak, for anyone listening to this or watching this, if you want to speak, you want to be a speaker, but you feel like you just don't have the confidence to get up on stage and speak, it's about your reps. Put in the reps. That's where the confidence comes from. It's gonna kill you the first time. You're gonna wonder why you're torturing yourself and making yourself do that. But it's going to get better every time you do it. So if that's something you want to do, like I wanted to do it, I was just like not sure why I wanted so much to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started doing it, I started loving it. If you feel like what I felt, which is why would anyone come listen to you when you don't have like this, I also don't have an earth crushing story that I like to share. Like a lot of speakers, they get up on stage and they share something about their past or their history that makes everyone like tear up. And I've been in the audience like crying for so many of these. And I didn't have a story like that. So if you are one of those people that is struggling with any of these things, why would anyone come speak to us? Listen to me speak. What do I have to share? I'm not this, I'm not that. Just know and trust that you have something in your past that you can use to teach somebody else who's struggling with something that you've struggled with. Nobody has been able to go through life without any struggles, right? So you've struggled with something, you found a way through it, you know something that other people don't, and other people are still struggling with what you struggled with, right? That's just the simple truth. And if you can get the courage, if you feel a call to speak, that means there are lives that are waiting to be changed by your message.
Mm-hmm. I always tell people, if you are afraid to do something that you feel like you're being called to do, you're absolutely right. It's like there's people out there that need to hear what you have to say. And if you don't do it, you're actually being selfish.
Yep.
because you're
100%.
putting your own feelings ahead of like serving and helping other people work through the same thing that you struggled through.
100%. I 100% agree with you. That's exactly what it is. Otherwise, I don't think you would feel that calling, right? Why would you feel a calling to do something that's going to put you out of your comfort zone if there wasn't a higher purpose to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's really it. It's really understanding what it is. What is that message that you are being called to share? Getting clarity on that message, making sure you can speak about it in a way that, is going to help other people who are maybe struggling with the same thing, overcome it, get through it. And then tying in the relevant stories, like why that's so important to you. You want to discover your why. There are too many people who know they have a message and then they stop there because they haven't really thought about building in their why into their messaging. And so Bridget, I know that I created a custom GPT recently to solve that problem, that we are going to, scale up and put in Brand Pod as well. But I know that that's a custom GPT that really helped you. So, it's a free custom GPT. I don't know if you want to put it in the show notes, but anyone can use it regardless of whether you're using our platform or not. It doesn't even matter. Just the exercise of going through something like that and really uncovering your stories and your why and your messaging and using that towards whatever your goal is, right? I spoke with someone recently whose goal was not to speak on stages, but they want to do more writing. Same thing. Doesn't matter what your goals are. Get clear on your message and then start serving people with it. That's all you need to do.
I think that was a really good, I know we talked about this too, but the onboarding process with Brand Pod, it's like you're having a conversation. And I thought it was so good. I told you I cried. Because oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we have lots of stories. It's not always like one story that changed the path that we're on, but it's like a series of stories that each build on top of each other. And when we're trying to figure out, okay, what is my story? Like how do I take all of these little stories and then build it into my story? Like, what is my brand story that I can tell people that's not like, well, one time this happened and one time this happened. Like, how can I really relay in a structured way the path that I've taken to get here? I think that was really, really important, but it was also cool, the feedback that I got from it, talking about, oh, you're a teacher and you're this and that. And I was like, whoa, that's so true. But it pointed out things that I never really thought about. So I was like, whoa, I really do that. That's so awesome. I was like impressed with myself.
I love it. And you should be. I mean, you've done so much. And so I love hearing that this little tool helped you uncover all of this. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
It's cool that we can create solutions like that have that, that people will have that reaction over. It's like, you might just think you're creating a GPT for your tool, but it's like what you're actually creating is a solution for people who are struggling without the tool now. So I love that. That's the coolest thing about software to me, for sure. Well, Ruheene, is there any... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, thank you so much for sharing all your brand wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. This is so fun. I get to talk about life. I get to talk about branding and all the things. It's so fun.
Yeah. Well, you and your pink glasses, Ruheene, you're welcome anytime.
Always on brand.
Exactly. It's not Ruheene, it's pink glasses, Ruheene.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ruheene. I appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us for today's episode of the Leverage and Lead podcast. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join the Leverage and Lead private community for live coaching 4 days a week at leverageandlead.com. We'll see you inside.